Billy the Artist here, and the new Minions movie is out soon, and we're going to do the baddie today. It's been announced that Scarlet Overkill is the baddie in the Minions. We're going to just use shapes, and we're going to do very quickly. Remember my shapes video, if you check out the how to draw Snoopy, that was the last one that we did using the shapes. You can check out elements of that as well. But anyway, remember the shapes, my how to draw anything part 1. You just need to just whack some shapes down really quickly. So we've got what looks like a balloon for Scarlet Overkill's head, and Sandra Bullock's going to play Scarlet Overkill. Then we've got her body, little kind of rectangle parallelogram there, and then we've got a triangle, which is her skirt down there, which is quite quickly. Now those are quite faint, and we just want a line for her arm and then another line for her arm, and I'll draw some darker lines on in a second, and then there's a little hand there. So here you can see a very quick shape. There's a rectangle and there's a triangle, and that's the basics for our drawing very quickly. But then if we need, well, we need to start building up some details. So you've got the shoulder line of Scarlet, and the top of a dress comes down, and then you go down to a waistline, and then you've got her hips coming out on a skirt. And we're just going to use some pencil crayons to colour in very quickly as that comes down, and you can use the folds. And then you have her neck, like the centre line going up where her neck is, and the little collar that she's wearing is very simple, and the bottom of her chin comes down. So here on a hair we need just a little construction line where her hair comes down, and then a cheek comes out. Like I say, we're not using a grid, we're just using free drawing. You can look at the image and any other image and you can draw the shape of Scarlet, and it comes down to a chin, and the cheek's going to come out on this side, and it's going to match up to the top of her shoulder. And so hair sweeps across the front, and so then her right cheek comes down to join the line that you did on that side, and there you have the shape of a face. Again, you can now just start to build up the shape of her hair, draw a nice line coming down, but you can see how the hair doesn't bulge out too far, and she's got that lovely flick that comes out, and you can draw that, and again the flick on the other side is a bit bigger. And then she's got a real heart shaped kind of hairdo that bulges out. And then you get the placement of her eyes. You can just put little tick marks down, and a nose. Remember her nose, I mean, she's got a really pointed nose, which is lovely. So you just got a triangle, and you can delineate quite a dark line. Like I say, we're doing a drawing here, and then you've got her eyebrows that are quite distinguished, and her eyes goes over the top. Her eyes are quite big. Now if she's looking down in this picture, you've got the shadow, so you can get the shape. She's actually looking down at the Minions. And she's got that hand cackle kind of position. We're going to have her looking out, as if she's looking out directly at you at the camera. So we need that to come down. See, she's got very thin eyebrows, so you don't need to do thick eyebrows. But her eyelashes have got a little bit of mascara on. to keep her eye so she looks like a powerful baddie character at the big presentation that she does at Villain Con rather than Comic Con. So again, if we draw her so her eyes are looking out at you instead, so that way you've just raised them up a little bit, and you can draw the pupils in. Just leave a little highlight, and that'll stand out when you come to colour it in a moment. Now we need her nostril that's showing, that's there, and then you need the kind of laughter lines, the cheek lines that are coming down. And then you get a mouth, and a mouth is just like a big U. So if we just draw like a bowl, your breakfast cereal bowl, and I'm just using a 2B pencil here, all the way. And then we're just going to colour her in quickly. So then you've got another bowl that comes down, and you can use felt tips, or you can use a felt tip pen to do your outline after you've put your pencil down, and you can use crayons or you can use felt tips to colour in, and just draw a line for her teeth. So now if we strengthen up the line of her neck and the collar that she's got on, now her shoulder is dipping down there to her left arm, and you've got that coming down to her waist, and then the top of her dress goes over and comes round, and we've got the shapes that are cast by the shadow, so we can work on them in the highlights when we colour in very quickly in a moment. But her arm, so her elbow is in here, and construction line, I just whack that in very quickly and you can work on that. But once you start getting parts of the body in and the different shapes, you can actually start building up very quickly the other parts of the body. So we draw down to her elbow because we know it's going to come to that point there, and then the curve of a bicep, very slim and slender. And then a hand comes out past the edge of a skirt, that we do know. So you've got a wrist that's going to come, she's got a very long slender wrist. So you can just put a little bit of a curve in, don't do a straight line, so that comes in, and then just put a little curve up, because that's your muscle there. So she's got a very, very slight, slender shape. Now a clenched fist, just draw a box shape with curves on, and then she's got a thumb over the top. She's got the full 4 fingers, whereas some comic characters only have 3 fingers. And that's a black glove. Now again, we do the same on this side for a right arm. So you get a right shoulder comes out. Just put the top of a glove on. They are very long gloves, aren't they? Baddies wear very, very distinguished looking clothes. So you bring her arm down and then come down to the elbow, and the same thing. So here now we know that a hand is going to be opposite the top of his shoulder, but rather than a square we want a triangle. So just draw a very quick triangle, and that gives you the points to draw the arm from the wrist down to the elbow. And again, you want the little, just a little kink there for the muscle. And then you draw down again, and you get to the elbow. And then you get the hand, which is great. This kind of baddie clawed hand is just here. I'm a baddie. I'm going to rule the world. And the minions are banana and all that kind of stuff, which is great. And just make funny noises you can while you're drawing, which is wonderful. And you get the outside of a right hand, and then you get the fingers. So you've got the tops as they come over. Just draw little points where the fingers are going to be. You can just see there, I've just put 4 little tick marks on. And then, so you got that coming out to the knuckle, and then the middle part of the finger, and then the top. And then another little line, and then another part of the finger, and then the end of the finger comes over. And then this one's just a straight line. And then this one has got a little joint in that you can see. And then you can add the rest of the fingers on. And that's how you can draw the shapes of the fingers very quickly. Again, just using shapes, how it's quite a complex position. But by breaking it down into its little parts, you can then put them in relation to the rest of the character. And just put a little shape in between the fingers on a hand, and the thumb's behind, so you can't kind of see the thumb. It's hidden in the claw bit. Now, her waistband kind of goes there, and then we get just the ball shape of the dress coming down. And here we have the skirt. And just think that it's all the pleats in the skirt, the folds are going to go up. So just draw a couple of lines down very quickly. And just draw some wiggly lines. And that way you can put the shape down. Now, obviously, a right leg is going to come down there. And a left leg, you can see, is pushing out on this side. So you can just draw the shape. Again, it's just a tube that comes down. But we're not too concerned because her feet are missing off anyway. We've got a minion down in this corner. But there you've got the outline very, very quickly. And that's just using those simple shapes. And my how to draw anything part 1 just shows the basics of using these different shapes quite quickly. So now we're just going to block in the colours. So I'm going to use a red pencil for a scarlet dress. My drawing board, you can see, it's quite scarred and scratched. So I've just got a piece of paper underneath or a piece of card. Depending what you draw on, you might actually get the creases or the lines or the knocks and dents actually coming through into your picture and your image, and you might not want that. So again, I'm just very quickly, like I did with the Snoopy, knocking in the colour. Your felt tips will be, if you've got a nice bright red scarlety colour felt tip, that'll show up quite well, I'm sure. And depending on how hard you press on, so now for the shadow, I'm going to press on a bit darker, and a waistband, and then the light's coming down this side, so I'm pressing on even harder, and then that's how you can get extra delineation in the pleats in the skirt, which is quite nice and lovely. And that's Scarlet's dress going in quite nicely and quickly. Oops, just bust the end off. I'm just putting some nice pink highlights down the side. Again, you can just mess about with the colour, and that'll be for the highlights. You can even use a bit of white, and that adds on and helps. And then a flesh. Oops, let's just use a bit of a pinkier colour. You can rub out your construction lines if you need to, because even with felt tips you will get discoloration from pencil on there. But again, this is just about having fun and drawing for fun quite quickly. Again, I'm colouring this in really quickly, and you get the shadow, the shapes of the shadow coming off the nose, and the side of her head and her hair is causing a little bit of a shadow, and then the sockets of her eyes are causing shadow. So that's quite good. And then under her neck, she's going to have a shadow, and under her arm, and over the top of her shoulders because of her hair. That's a wonderful hairdo, isn't it? Then you get the whole shape just slightly under her chin. Now we need that kind of purpley pink for lipstick. So put the purple on first, and then if I use the red on top, that gives a little bit of extra red. And if we get the black to fill in, before I do the rest of the black, I'm just going to use some grey. And here, this is where we get the highlights on her hair. So if I put some grey down first for the highlights, and then highlight on the top of a glove. This is the reflected lights on the cone of the light on the tops of the fingers. And then use, it's got a kind of a purpley brown colour. Just adds different colours into the tone, and this is all the reflected lights that are in the scenery around it that are kind of put in. But then we get a fantastic shape of a hair. And when you're colouring in, like I did with the dress, follow the direction of the actual item that you're colouring in. And that's just part of the drawing. So it's got a slight dark in the centre, and then going right into the where a hair joint goes into a parting. It's a bit like a butterfly. The real dark that's in there is a bit like a butterfly kind of shape going out. And then you can just, don't press on so hard, and you can get it going to the highlight on that part of her hair, and that comes around. Again, just follow the shape of the hair with your crayon, and you can tighten up your drawing lines. And this is quite a simple way to draw this new baddie from the Minions movie, Scarlet Overkill. And if we do her arms there, draw the gloves in, and just draw on that glove quite lightly, and then darken where the fingers are for the shadows, and the same for this arm. Hopefully you'll have the effect of the shadows and the lights coming down. And there's the finger in a mad claw pattern. And then we finally use a brown for the legs, and this is the bulk of the colour that's come in. Put that down first and then use black over the top, and that's how you can get the effect of the tights quite quickly. Again, just press on darker where you need the shadows. Just sharpen my black pencil a little. And then just add a little bit of detail to the hair to make that work in. And then you can just, if you want to, mess about with slightly reflected colours. We also need to put her green eyes in, just so she's looking out at you. Just put a little bit of colour around her eyes, and we can use blue for the shadow on her eyeball. And then put the crease in and darken down with the browns, the shadow that's caused by her eyebrows and her eye sockets. And that is a very quick and easy way. If we get the red in a hair, just in the dark down that side, and down here, just put some red in, and it gives a little bit more shape as the hair comes round. And on the top, the highlight, you've got a bit of purple. And this is just fun experimenting with colours. I put a bit of purple in this reflected highlight on the top, and then a bit of purple down on the gloves, and on her arm. And that, again, just using shapes, is just a very quick way that you can actually develop a character like Scarlet Overkill from the new Minions movie. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you do want more how to draw videos for absolute beginners, like I say, this is very, very simple stuff, and you'll see my other art. If you subscribe, you'll see the fine detailed oil paintings that I do. But that's Scarlet Overkill, the baddie from the new Minions movie. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope that you get your pencil crayons out and draw Minions and Scarlet in the future. Thanks for your time. Ta-da.